So you want to listen to that link, so you send it to your.
I've seen quite a number of people asking to read.
We'll make an introduction senior.
Yes.
Yes, introduce it. Welcome everybody. I'm not sure you need your notebook and.
These ones?
Yeah.
No, I don't. They can be put away. Do you mind just putting this on the side for me? Thank you.
And also to the rest of the panelists, please make sure that your drinks are properly sealed, that in case it's not properly sealed, it doesn't fall.
Hi, colleagues.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, learned friends. Let me invite you this afternoon to our live debate. As you can see, the two candidates are to my left. Paula, I beg your pardon, to my right. Ladies first.
Yes.
To your left, probably if you're watching us from that perspective, Paula Njuguna. And to my left is Eric Theuri. As you can see, we are maintaining social distancing, trying to be as responsible as possible, because they are both going to be offering responsible leadership. We are gathered this afternoon to debate the question, who is the best candidate for the position of chair of the Nairobi branch of the Law Society of Kenya. As we know, we have already elected our national chair, and we've begun to see the waves that that has created. And we want to understand what our respective candidates will be bringing to the table, how they intend to complement the national office, and what programs and agendas they will be offering to us, the voters. So let me start by asking our producers to put out their campaign videos so we can see their respective offerings. Thank you.
Hi, colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eric Theuri Njero. I'm vying for the position of the Nairobi branch chairmanship. I am an advocate of over 15 years in practice, and over those years, I have served you as a council member at the national office. I've also served in various committees of the Law Society of Kenya, and currently at the Nairobi branch, I co-convene the Advocate Police Relationship Committee, and I also sit in the Welfare Committee. I am an easygoing person, strategic in my approach, consultative, and a consensus builder. In this time when we are dealing with the effects arising from the COVID-19 pandemic, you require a leader who is consultative, a leader who is able to bridge the gap between the young and the old, who listens to the opinions of those who are younger than him and those who are older than him, and together builds consensus on what should be the approach to the issues that are affecting us, touching on matters, welfare and practice. For that reason, ladies and gentlemen, I kindly ask you, on the 13th and 14th of May, when we will be voting for the chairman of the Nairobi branch, I ask you humbly, vote for me. Thank you.
Dear learned friends, my name is Paula Njuguna. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, having been admitted to the bar in the year 2001. It has been my utmost pleasure to serve you as the Vice Chair of the Law Society of Kenya Nairobi branch for the past 4 years. As you may be aware, the Law Society of Kenya Nairobi branch is set to hold its elections on the 13th and 14th of May 2020. It is with utmost humility that I seek your vote for the position of Chair, Law Society of Kenya Nairobi branch. During my tenure, together we have built the branch from ground zero. The result has been a more visible and vibrant Law Society of Kenya Nairobi branch. As Vice Chair, I have built robust networks amongst our members and our stakeholders, specifically the judiciary, which puts me at a better position to serve you as chair of the branch. As chair, I will continue to implement the Law Society of Kenya Nairobi Branch Strategic Plan year 2017 to year 2022. I helped formulate the Law Society of Kenya Nairobi Branch Strategic Plan, and I am best suited to steer it forward. Members, I invite you to consider my 5-point agenda. I pledge to continue to promote, advocate, unify, lobby, and advance for a bar association that is inclusive, accountable, progressive, professional, and focus-oriented, as outlined in my manifesto, which you can download from the link below. Dear learned friends, vote Paula, vote progress. Keep the progress going.
Well, brilliant. Thank you very much. Those were their campaign videos. And since they have now been introduced, let me take this opportunity to introduce myself as well. My name is John Ohaga. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and I practice in the dispute resolution space. Paula, Eric, you're going to have 2.5 minutes each to answer the questions that we'll put to you. And then we'll take you to the audience, and the audience will then express their questions, concerns, propositions, and we will then ask you to respond to those. So let me start with you, Paula. Before I do, let me just say belated Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
John. Thank you.
Now, what I want to understand from you, Paula, is you have served as vice chair of the Nairobi branch of the Law Society of Kenya. You have served, as I'm sure you will recognize, under Charles Kanjama, who was visionary, very well focused, and I think has taken the branch forward. Now, what experiences would you say you bring to the table which would enable you to continue to drive the agenda of the Nairobi branch of the Law Society? How do you think those experiences prepare you? And tell us what it is you'd be seeking to achieve in the first 100 days of your position as chair of the branch.
Thank you, John. First of all, I want to say that I stand in solidarity with members during these difficult times when we have to deal with the effects of COVID-19. This has clearly affected a lot of our operations with the judiciary, the lands office, the company's registry, and this has affected our bread and butter. So my first comment is that I stand in solidarity with our members. I have been the vice chair of LSK Nairobi branch for 2 terms now. I have worked with 2 teams of council members. Those 2 teams of council members, we have been able to achieve a lot. Obviously, the branch was set up from ground zero. What does this mean? This means that we have established the structures for the branch and built networks. These are the networks I want to use to further the achievements of the branch. They have been robust networks. We have networks with the judiciary. We have established several committees. These committees are now functioning. I see myself as chair taking the committees further by engaging more with our members to strengthen and stakeholders to strengthen these committees. So, as you said, rightfully so, that Charles Kanjama's vision was carried forward by an able council and an able vice chair. If I was an impediment to the success of the branch, then we'd not be talking about a branch that is successful and vibrant. As the vice chair, I have played my role, and I believe it is time for me now to steer my vision for the branch forward.
Thank you very much, Paula. Very interesting. Eric, let me turn to you and ask the same questions. But as Paula has correctly mentioned, COVID is the overarching thing that we're now all thinking about. So what experience do you bring to the table that would enable us as a branch of the Law Society of Kenya, and indeed as a fraternity, to be able to deal with the effects of COVID, to navigate through these turbulent times, and to be able to come through on the other side, thriving and prospering? What would you put in place? Again, I put this to Paula, and I'm going to ask you, in the first 100 days of your term, to enable the fraternity to be able to deal with the challenges that confront us today.
Right. Thank you so much, John, for that question. Thank you, Paula, for agreeing for us to have this debate and for the lawyers have to host us. As you rightly mentioned, right now we are all dealing with the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and the disruption that it has caused. But therein also lies our greatest opportunity to be able to look into our processes and transform the areas that have not been working well. And in my first 100 days, what I envisage to do is to upscale the way we manage the bar bench committees, with a view of ensuring that there is very clear communication of the resolutions of a bar bench to members for purposes of monitoring and evaluation. Secondly, I also want to upscale the manner in which we use technology. I have two ideas in mind with regard to that. One is to come up with an online performance evaluation tool. It will almost work the same way as your diary, because when you go to court, you have a court attendance docket which you come back and update. So what I will do is that we will put it out, and we will be able to monitor the performance of various sectors. At glance, when you apply for your search, you'll be able to say, I applied for a search, it came out within a day or two, so that we are able to have issues that are focused and real-time data in which we can use to articulate issues during the bar bench committees and in the various liaisons committee that do exist. So on technology, those are now like the two areas that I want to put a focus on. But the real push will be to now get the courts to start working again. We look in areas like Kibera, Makadara, and also at Milimani, the criminal court has not been coming out very clearly in terms of what we are supposed to be doing. So I intend to engage them so that we can get more clearer directions in terms of what is supposed to happen, and also look at how we can sustain the various initiatives that have come into play right now to assist us have our matters done, so that issues to do with virtual court attendances, especially on mentions and applications, is something that I hope we can sustain going forward, so that then we free more time for the hearing of court cases.
Thank you very much, Eric. And you've brought us right where I want us to be, which is a discussion around the judiciary. As you know, the pertinent discussion now among our fraternity has been really bread and butter issues. And our bread and butter is the courtroom, because we are mostly litigators. Our bread and butter is earned from going to court. So I want to ask you this direct question, Paula. First and foremost, do you support the physical opening of courthouses? And depending on your answer, if your answer is yes, what proposals would you have to put in place to mitigate the effects of COVID-19, to ensure that, notwithstanding that the courts are physically available, that we put in place measures to ensure that we protect not only ourselves, but also judicial officers? And what other measures do you think we should put in place to be able to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic in respect to the way in which we practice law?
John, thank you for that question. I first want to say that I want to begin from the point where we have discussed, Eric has talked about the bar bench committees. This is why I'm saying that it's important for somebody who's an incumbent and somebody who has walked that path to walk the rest of the journey. Why am I saying keep the progress going? I'm saying this because in their first 100 days, Eric says that he would set up bar bench structures. I want to tell him that we already have regulations that regulate the conduct of the bar benches. We have quarterly, monthly reports we have quarterly meetings with reports from each bar bench. So this is not something that somebody is coming in to start. It is already ongoing. And all we are saying is that we want, since the regulations are in place, there's already somebody who prepared those regulations, who is Paula Njuguna, and therefore this is the best person to steer forward those bar bench regulations. And that's why I'm saying when we have Eric coming in from the outside to come and start saying that we are setting up things, we are not setting up, we're already there, the structures are there, regulations are already there. Now, on the issue of reopening of the courts, this is my position, that advocates must earn a living. Advocates must have their bread and butter issues taken into consideration. When the courts, the normal court disruptions occurred, the first thing we did is that, if you all remember, we were all at home. Nothing was moving, nothing was progressing. Behind the scenes, we were working 24/7 to ensure at least some activity takes place within the judiciary. What has happened? We now have online cause lists. These are ongoing as we speak. We have online cause lists. But we cannot talk about opening of courts without putting into place safety measures. As it is, this has led to each court now conducting a survey of the courts with the Ministry of Health officials. And therefore, as we progress, we want the Ministry of Health to fasten and hasten this process of now allowing us to operate normally within the courts. So, John, the answer to your question is yes, we need to earn a living. We are affected. Advocates are in distress. We don't have food in our houses. This is very clear. We, as the branch, have rolled out the online course lists because this was our point. Why don't we have something going? Instead of us sitting and waiting for when the government will lift the bans and the measures put in place, we have some activity going on. John, you saw, and rightfully so, we now have online course lists. Some progress is being made, and now we have, in fact, virtual course lists. We have virtual hearings. Advocates are attending their matters. So the opening of the courts, are we talking about opening of the gates for everybody to come in without safety measures? Or are we saying, can we embrace technology? Can we speed up the process of technology in the meantime, in this intervening period, so that whatever the judiciary is doing can be seen to be efficient and working, So the answer to your question is that we must take care of ourselves, the health and safety of our members first. We must also take into consideration the health of judicial officers, most of whom might fall into the bracket that the government has said stay at home. But there's a way around this entire issue, and that means that we must enhance the technology that we already have. We have children. Our children are now learning from home. They're using the Zoom applications and all these online technologies that are in place. So I think there's room for improvement, and we must get food on the table for our advocates. And it is important, therefore, that we sit with the judiciary. What is the challenge? Why are we not moving as fast as we thought we would with the physical operation of the court and the online operation of the court? However, I'm a proponent of safety and health of members first. Safety and health of the judicial officers must be guaranteed. Then we can open the gates to the courts. In the meantime, let us embrace technology. Let us let the judiciary put in efforts to enhance this technology so that our members can start earning.
Thank you very much, Paula. Eric, I will come back to you with the same question. I know you had started to deal with the question of technology and the judiciary, but we now want to focus on the physical reopening of the courts. Do you think it is necessary to reopen the courts physically, or do you think that the platform that has now been made available to us, technology, enables us to continue to practice as lawyers, to articulate our issues, and to represent our clients effectively?
In as much as I am a big fan of technology, we have to admit that it has its limitations. And to that extent, then we should focus on the physical reopening of courts, putting in place the health and safety measures that are going to be recommended by the Ministry of Health. Because the Ministry of Health was supposed to conduct a survey, and based on that survey, then they would have proposed the kind of measures that are ideal to ensure the safety, not just of the judicial officers, but also of the advocates and the litigants. The other thing that must be said is that we are not just opening courts for purposes of advocates earning a living per se. It is the principle of access to justice that we should be focusing on. So that is the most important consideration, that the citizens of this country have to get access to the courts. And I think about this, you imagine it is difficult for advocates to navigate the virtual terrain. What about ordinary litigants? What about that lady who wants to access the court for purposes of getting maintenance for their children? They have a problem. They would not be able to do that. So this is the reason why, for purposes of access to courts and ensuring that we as advocates perform our duty to the Constitution and to insist that every person must have the benefit of access to courts, we need to pursue the physical reopening of courts. But that must be within the framework that can be safe. We've had restaurants now are opening, and they've been given certain measures within which to adopt. So we can do that. The other thing which we also must do is to also engage the judiciary so that we now can take pre-trial measures much more seriously. It shouldn't just be a tick in the box. We should sieve the issues in a matter so that then when a matter is being, when a case is going to court, the issues have already been sieved. They have been sieved to that level where you can be able to say, this trial is going to last for 10 or 15 minutes because the only issue in contention is one or two. And for those two issues, the court has approximated that it will take probably 30 minutes. With that, it is then possible to give a cause list that says a case will start at 10 and end at 10:30. And then there will be some measures which will be taken to sanitize the court, and then the next matter can be had. Because if we are to continue with the manner in which we do our cause list, it is not possible to have a safe environment in this COVID period. But if we do proper pre-trial, then we should be able to have hearings where it is only the parties who are in attendance because they have been allocated a particular time, and within that time frame, the court will ensure that that matter is heard to determination.
Excellent, thank you very much. I'm sure that our audience will be interrogating some of your views. Let me just turn now to one other issue which I would like you to address before we come to the audience. And this is the synergy between our national office and the branch.
Yes.
What I would like to understand from you, Paula, is, and I've seen a question already posed by one of the members in the audience, what do you see as the place of the branch in offering CPDs, seminars, and so on? What is the point system that should be awarded for that to members? And how should the branch correlate with the national office in offering CPDs on a platform that enables them to be able to access training even during this COVID time?
Yes, John, I want to say that our mandate as the branch is clearly outlined in Section 24 of the Law Society of Kenya Act, subsection 2, which is to look into practice and welfare matters of our members and also strengthen stakeholder engagement. When it comes to CPDs, practice and welfare is therefore a devolved function of the branch. That does not mean that the national office cannot also carry out some of these practice and welfare matters. We can easily coexist and correlate when it comes to the branches. However, it is very important for the national office to also give branches autonomy. Once we have devolution will only work in an environment where people continuously engage with each other and look for ways to further develop and engage, review existing arrangements. We already have some regulations, but we keep on continuously looking and relooking at these engagements. Are they working? Are they and expanding the arrangements in place? In terms of CPD, the branch, we did well. We negotiated with the CPD committee. We were offered 1 CPD point as the branch to our members. And we were told that the CPD point, this point will go to 1 event of the branch. So we have negotiated for the branch to be able to stand on its 2 feet, properly devolve the functions, including CPD points, empower and support the branches so that they can be able to offer CPD to their members. In fact, I want to say here, John, that the first people who mooted the point of online CPDs was the branch. We were ready to offer those online CPDs way back, but for some reason, it is only the other day that we managed to secure at least 1 CPD point for our events. And I hope and I pray that we can continuously engage with the national office so that they can empower these branches. CPD is one of the ways of empowering the branches. Let the branches organize the events, let the branch be able to issue CPD points to their members. Yes, but as we speak, there's already 1 point allotted to the branch for CPD.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yes.
Well done for that. That's good work. Eric, I want to ask you a slightly different question before we come back to the audience. I think you will agree with me that COVID-19 has exposed our soft underbelly as a fraternity, in the sense that there is clearly an over-reliance on court practice to earn our living. How would you, if you are elected as chair of the branch, how would you navigate, educate, and lead your membership to be able to diversify the areas of practice available to them, especially leveraging the digital economy, to ensure that we do not find ourselves in a situation where, shorn of court practice, we are literally gasping for air?
Thank you so much for that question. The reality of the matter is that the branch, in advancing matters related to practice and welfare, has the sole mandate of looking at the practice environment and trying to see into the future so that it can prepare its members for the future. And the best way and the surest way of doing that is by engaging in trainings. It's one of the things which I will ensure that we invest in. Trainings on opportunities, on emerging opportunities, trainings on business planning, training on succession, on how you plan succession in your farm, training on how you remain relevant to your client, because the nature of our practice is that one happy client gets you additional happy clients. The other thing, and this is where I fault Paula and also part of the area where the Nairobi branch hasn't performed very well, is that you do not necessarily need to have a CPD point for a training, because the purpose of training is continuous self-improvement. If you offer trainings that are relevant to the advocates, even if they do not have CPD points, they will attend. So the issue here is to look at what areas can we train on. And in this short time, because I realized that there is a gap and the branch is not responding to the needs that we have, I have organized a training on mental health. I have organized a training on how to plan your business, to plan your finances, and plan for recovery post-COVID. And we did the webinars. I have done a webinar to show advocates how they can upscale their practice by embracing and leveraging on technology. And there's a lot of free technology that is available, even in the cloud, for purposes of upscaling how we are managing our law firms. So that is not, I was doing that to show that I'm not just speaking about things that I intend to do, that I already have the ideas, I already have the know-how, and we had a training, which was, all our trainings have been attended by over 200 advocates and above, meaning that the training has been relevant. So that is what we need to do. The focus on CPD has been, in my mind, a wrong focus. Let us continually train our advocates so that they can improve themselves and run their firms much better, more profitably, and opportunities, once you grow, those opportunities will definitely come, and people will branch into new areas, and even if they don't branch into new areas, they will run their farms much more profitably.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, Paula. Thank you, Eric. I'm now going to turn to you.
Point of
yes.
I want to clarify something. You know, the branch portfolio is very rich with training programs. The branch was the first, we were the first council to roll out a mentorship program for the young lawyers. There have been several trainings and partnerships with law firms where they have offered specific skills to training skills to our lawyers. So it would be wrong for us to say that the branch has been sitting waiting for CPD points. No, we did our work. We have been doing our work. Our portfolio is rich with programs, numerous programs for lawyers of all demographics. So it is not true that we were waiting for CPD points, to carry out trainings. We conducted them with or without CPD points. So, and members attended. So it is not that the CPD points are the ones that make members attend these trainings. It is the material and the substance that you're offering in the training that will make the lawyers attend. All we are saying, why not give a token of a CPD point? If the national office is able to do it, why not devolve this function? Why are we devolving halfway? Why not devolve plus the CPD points? So that we can continue to educate and train our members.
Brilliant. I'm sure we can take that debate further with the national office.
Yes.
Once you come into the position of chair. Let me turn now to the audience, our learned friends. We're going to offer an opportunity to you to ask a couple of questions. We have limited time because I'm told there is actually a CPD event at 3 o'clock. So we are going to offer one or two participants. And I can see a hand who's been up for a considerable period of time. That is Ayeta Lumbasio. What questions do you have to ask? Please speak up. Ayeta Lumbasio, can you hear me? I've seen your hand up for a period of time. If not, then I'll turn to Jackie Manani. Jackie, what do you want to ask? Perhaps if you unmute her.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, Jackie.
Okay, my question to the two candidates is, what plans do they have for welfare of members? Right now, during this COVID period, I'm seeing attempts by various lawyers groups and even the council members trying to raise funds for members who are in distress. What welfare plans do they have for members, considering that welfare is a mandate of branches? And I want to have, their answer should be specific in terms of putting structures in place. What kind of structures do they have in mind, or proposal for structures in place to have welfare of members being catered for in a manner that is transparent and accountable, and in a manner that is not discriminatory, such that I do not need to know Paula or to know another advocate to be able to raise funds for me. Right now, what we have is a situation whereby if I know Jackie mobilizes for funds, then she will mobilize funds for me if I have her number. If I know Caroline Kamende, I will do the same. You see, there's no proper mechanism in place that then determines or identifies advocates who are in distress, who are in need, so that it doesn't matter who you know, and you're able to get assistance. So I would like to hear from the two candidates. What do they have in mind going forward for welfare?
Yes. Thank you very much, Jackie Manani. Let me see if there's another question so we can combine the questions. Ashad Alibai, what is your question?
Hello.
Ashad,
Hello.
can you hear? Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, I wanted to ask the two candidates that for a long time, we are not moving very fast in embracing technology in the area of resources. So for example, if a lawyer in practice has a question, is there a possibility that they have an online resource where a pro bono resource person, an expert in that line, can give some advice or tips on how to deal with the situation? We have got so many new laws which have come up. Insolvency Act and the Companies Act is continuously being amended. I'm sure a lot of my colleagues have serious questions to ask. So if they can have a kind of an online portal within the main LSK portal, questions can be asked and answered. And this can help lawyers advise their clients fast rather than going through an elaborate process of looking for answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'll just 1 minute each so that we can accommodate as many questions as possible.
Yes.
So there is a question of members' welfare.
Yes.
What are the practical steps you will put in place to address this issue? And secondly, Ashad has asked the question about online resources, pro bono work, and access to, allowing access to those resources by members of the public. Paula, let's start with you.
Yes. John, I want to say that last week, we set up an emergency fund. This fund is supposed to run as a structured fund to assist lawyers who are in distress. I am the chair of the committee that has set up the emergency, that will set up the emergency fund. The committee is in the process of collecting members' views with a view to get the fund rolling. We have also proposed to the Emergency Fund Committee to work in liaison with the Law Society of Kenya SACCO so that we can see whether it will be possible to offer soft loans to some of our members who are in urgent need of rent and contingency money at this time. We will ensure that the fund puts in money with the LSK SACCO so that the fund, now the emergency fund, can start operation. I will be the one chairing this emergency fund, and the reason we have not been able to do it prior to this was because our allocation of funds from the national office had not yet come through. So the committee was actually put in place last week, and I'll be chairing that committee. We intend to collect your views, and we will also put structures in place to ensure that the emergency fund runs in such a way that it reaches out to all our members within Nairobi, Thika, and Nairobi and Kiambu counties. We have also, I have also personally engaged with lawyers on my WhatsApp forum. I ensured that I set up bar bench committees within the social networks, embracing technology at the same time. I ensured that we have a judicial officer who is in place to attend to immediate concerns of our members on those WhatsApp forums. Each court now, each court bar bench now has a WhatsApp bar bench forum. If they have issues, they are raised real time and online, and they're able to engage with the judicial officers who are on those platforms so that their questions can be answered. Jackie Madandi, I wish to say that this has helped in alleviating the stress levels of our members at this time. We also have set up, I have set up, together with my council, a legal aid fund, okay? This one, we're in the process of registering the trust.
Is that addressing the online resources now?
No, that is addressing the concerns of our members at this time. Yeah. So this one will be able to assist the young lawyers because we'll hire the young lawyers and pay them to represent litigants who don't have money to go to court. Now, on the online platforms,
his question was, what steps would you take to put in place resources that could be put online so that they could be accessed by members of the public, or to put together a pool of pro bono lawyers who would be able to represent?
Yes, in answer to that question, the branch already is running a website. Yes, we have set up several links on that website where we have daily notices going out on the website to our members. We'll keep on engaging with our members to see best how to work these online services. But one of my agenda items is that I want to create a peer-to-peer support system and programs for the branch. This could be one of the programs where we run online programs where we help each other as peers. Where is your strength? Where is your weaknesses? And we help each other in that manner. So that is my agenda item, to run these peer-to-peer programs, and we can also run them online as a resource for our members so that we are able to help each other move members' welfare forward.
Excellent, thank you very much. Eric, the same question to you. Members' welfare, bread and butter issues, what practical steps would you put in place?
Thank you, John. Let me start with a question that was posed by Alibai in terms of online resources. And I think he just picked it right from my manifesto. Because one of the things which I have proposed to do is to set up an online depository of pleadings and forms and precedents that are used in practice on a day-to-day basis. Those are easy, you just click there. If you're looking for a particular document, you click, download, you customize it, and you use it for practice. Because in most cases, you always find people looking for precedents, and that depository will just be put on the website, and it will be regularly updated as and when changes are made, either by legislation or new forms are brought into place by subsequent new legislation. So that is already something that I have in my manifesto, and that is something we should be able to achieve within the first 100 days when I get into office. It will be a tool that will assist most of us to run our practice and manage our firms in a much better way. Secondly, if you look at the Nairobi branch website, it's a good website. But even in terms of response to COVID-19 issues, it is very thin in terms of content, what the content that is there. So that's the other thing that I will look at improving. And the other issue which I'm going to implement is to start a wellness program where we will have a toll-free line that you can call when you need help. If you feel like you're in distress, you are dealing either with stress at the office or at home, or in relation to the normal topical issues that affect wellness, drug and alcohol abuse,
even trainings on issues like HIV. So we'll be having a toll-free line on the website to call for assistance in the event that you need. Now, on the question that Jackie has posed, I agree with the measures which the Nairobi branch is taking, and I have been in discussion with Kanjama and so many other of the leaders of the Nairobi branch, and I believe that that is the way to go. But and it's also very nice that Paula is here and she's chairing that that board. Although for me that presents itself as a question of conflict, considering that she is a candidate to for the office of chair. Mm-hmm. This is more of a conflict of interest. Mm-hmm. But these are now some of the benefits that come with incumbency. So there's really nothing much we can do about it. But I do hope that one of the issues that they will consider is anonymity of the beneficiaries, because we are a proud profession. When you are an advocate, it's very difficult for people to believe that you're actually broke. And that, if it is not anonymous in terms of the help, who is getting help, it may prevent people from coming out just because they do not want to be seen to be in distress. So I think if I get into office, then we'll just continue with what the branch is doing, because anything good that is being done by the branch just needs to be improved.
So let me ask you a difficult question, which will put you in the spot. Yes. If you get into office, would you retain Paula to continue chairing the emergency fund?
If she is willing, mm-hmm. and if we will be having the same vision, mm-hmm. in terms of where, how the assistance is supposed to be run, mm-hmm. in terms of the structures, I would have no problem, because I would not want to disrupt anything that is ongoing if it is a good initiative. The only thing we want to do is to ensure that then it delivers the purpose for which it is intended.
Excellent, thank you. I think we maybe have time for just one more question. If there is somebody who wishes to ask a burning question, in the meantime, I want to draw your attention to a poll. Is the poll running already? Okay, a poll is being launched now, so please look at your screens, respond to the poll so that we can identify what the core issues are which concerns the membership of the branch. Any question? Anyone with a burning question? I'm happy to give one more person. In the meantime, I just want to, okay, I can see Ayeta Lumasio's hand is up. Are you ready with your question now, Ayeta? We had given you the opportunity, but you didn't respond. Are you ready now? Ayeta?
Okay.
Okay. Excellent, we can hear you. Please ask your question. Morris. Morris Kimuli, you have a question. Let's go to you then.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to thank the candidates for the great debate. I will be very brief. We have the Nairobi branch, which is the largest, indisputably, and the leadership of this branch must have a way of working with the national office. We have devolution, yes, but it's critical that the policies advanced by the national office will affect a lot those of us who practice in Nairobi. So my question is about synergy for both Eric and Paula. How do you propose to synergize your programs and work so that you marry into what the national office is doing? And more particularly, now that the national office has taken, those who are elected are already in office, what do you think about their philosophy of work? Is it something you would want to agree with, or would you want to change anything in the way they are working at the national office, seeing as it is that what they do is going to affect to the largest extent your members? Thank you.
right. Before I ask you to answer the question, I just want to draw your attention to the poll. You've seen the code that we require you to enter in order to ask your questions or to pose your comment. So please do, so that we can collate this at the end of this session and be able to identify what are the core issues that really affect our members. So back to Maurice's question, Paula.
Yes, I want to tell Maurice that, Maurice, thank you for that question. Maurice, as you're aware, the branch has been in place for 4 years of 2 terms. I have been the vice chair for those 2 terms. And in the 2 terms that I have been the vice chair of LSK Nairobi branch, we have not had any differences with the national office. I do not see that changing anytime soon once I am elected chair. We have each run our programs independently of each other, but when synergy is needed, we come together, a meeting of minds, and we agree on issues. So I do not see any conflict between the branch and the national office. We will continue running our programs the way we have run them. Yes, with the new council that is in place now, they have just settled in office. We are studying and seeing whether they will fulfill their mandates. And most of them run on the election platform, if I remember very well, that they will promote autonomy of the branches. So they are new in office. We will give them time. We will allow them time to, to carry out their mandate. But I do not see them going against their manifestos. They agreed to work with the branches. They agreed to empower and support the branches. And we look forward to working with the new team, the new council that is in office right now.
Very well, excellent. Turning to you, Eric, same question, but underlying, I think, Maurice's question is also one of philosophy. I think the new national office has begun to articulate its philosophy in terms of where it wants to take the legal fraternity. And I think underlying Maurice's question is the question, do you agree with that philosophy? And what strategies would you put in place to synergize the relationship between the branch and the national office?
Thank you. Maurice, I see the relationship between the branch and the national office as one I would characterize as of independence and interdependence. So that the branch should run independently, but is also interdependent on the national office with regard to tackling welfare and practice matters that are at a national scale. So then it is important to create a good working relationship with the national office for purposes of liaison and consultation. And one of the things that I'm going to be keen on is enhancing our stakeholder relationships and partnerships that we create. So whereas I will be looking outside at bodies like KEPSA, KAM for the manufacturers, so that then we can now start bringing them on board on issues of taxation, have partnership agreements with accountants so that we can see how best we can partner and improve the knowledge and create knowledge sharing platforms between those. I will also intend to strengthen the relationship between the branch and the main office for purposes of ensuring that we have a very clear goal in terms of where we want to move issues related to practice and welfare. My understanding of the philosophy of the current council, it is characterized itself as bold, a brave new bar. And I look at also creating a Nairobi branch that is bold and vibrant. So I think in terms of philosophy, then we are going to marry at that level, because all of us are looking at making the National Council vibrant And I'm looking at making the Nairobi branch more vibrant, but in regard to matters relating to practice and welfare. Of course, the national office will have a much more bigger platform that I'll be looking at. But on things like law reform, bills that are coming up on Parliament, I hope that we can have greater partnership so that then even the branch in itself can either push its recommendations on issues that are coming up on law reform, because we have a lot of expertise within the Nairobi branch. The wealth of expertise within the advocates practicing within Nairobi branch is varied, wide and varied. And so we would want to tap into those areas so that those who are, for example, experts in tax, have an opportunity to interrogate the budget right from its inception up to the conclusion stage. So that those are areas then we'll be working in very, very close harmony and in consultation with the national office.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, I'm going to close this session in terms of the questions from the audience, and I'm going to turn back to the candidates. Of course, I needn't remind you of the need for decorum and the need to be as polite as possible with each other, but I'm going to ask you to comment on your respective strengths and weaknesses, and to tell the voters why do you think that you are the right candidate? So shall we say, again, we'll start with you, Paula.
I think, Senior, just the last question.
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to, just good job. I wanted to just put together all the questions that have been asked as they wrap up on their strengths. But the in-house councils are wondering what, what plans do they have for in-house council? Do they have any specific agenda for in-house council? Because the discussion has been more of litigators and those who go to court. So I think it would be important for them to answer that. That was anonymously put on the Zoom call. Somebody else has asked that Paula needs to clarify how she foresees enabling the judiciary embrace technology in order to facilitate members earn a living. That's by Lorna Nyandat. And Bruce is asking if they both support the manner the judiciary and the National Council for Administration of Justice has been handling COVID-19 as far as court operations is concerned. And then somebody else is wondering, the place of mediators, because now the court processes have been stalled. How do they intend to take forward mediation in this particular case? And then someone is asking, the national office is definitely encroaching on the space of the branch. And so what do they think about that, and how will they handle interference from the national office? Please, if you could handle that as well. Somebody says that they're wondering how we can embrace technology at the branch level. I think technology keeps sort of coming back on this particular case. And then the final question is that there's a final comment here, is please tell Council Theory that CPD points ndio kila kitu. No CPD points, no training wakili. And the final one is that we're seeing a lot of young advocates joining the bar and jobs are becoming really hard to come by. What strategy will they use to increase the legal work base so that as many advocates as possible are able to earn a living? So I think I just wanted to summarize all these questions into one, even as they make their final remarks, that they will be able to speak to the questions and concerns that we have. But also finally is to launch the final poll. We have a poll within the app. This is only available for the people who signed up. We had 410, I think, advocates who signed up on the Zoom call. So please go on your Zoom call and let us know on a range of 1 to 5, what would you say would be the success? Was a branch successful in its first term or not? And how do you rate that within the app? So thank you, Senior. Those are the few questions that I would bring on board. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Linda. I think that you can encompass those questions.
Yes.
The one that stands out for me is, of course, the question by in-house counsel, because they stand in a category which is sort of slightly different from your normal practitioner.
Yes.
I think the other questions have, in one way or the other, crept into the conversation. So even as you comment on your strengths and weaknesses, or the weaknesses of your opponent and your own strengths, or acknowledge what you think your weaknesses might be, can you incorporate the questions that have been asked by in-house counsel, the question of mediation, which is of course one that is really pertinent at this time, and the question of the place of technology in being able to advance learning and so on. Paula?
Yes, to the question of in-house counsel, kindly, I will urge, because there is no time, I will urge you to go to www.nyagodhielaw.com. That is my website. You will download my manifesto. You will have a chance to read the good intentions I have for in-house counsel and state counsel. I have outlined severally, and we have had several engagements with, for example, the Solicitor General, and we have raised concerns of in-house counsel to them. And we have told them we want in-house counsel and state counsel to participate in branch activities. And we are, in my tenure as chair, I will continue to ensure that this is carried out to fruition. Now, I have informed you that we have set up a legal aid program. We have registered the trust document. This legal aid program is supposed to run to assist young lawyers. We will give them briefs. We will pay them for the briefs. This will be briefs that will be handling for litigants who have no money to go to pay for court processes. So this is another way we are trying to promote the young lawyers to get work. So we are hopeful that once the trust has been registered, then we shall be in a better position to assist the young lawyers. My campaign is running on some key issues. One of them is that we need an all-inclusive Law Society of Kenya. We need a professional Law Society of Kenya. We need to listen to each other and be there for each other. So I have indicated that I am going to consult widely, and I'm going to negotiate with professional counselors to offer our members counseling services on a pro bono basis. I have done it anonymously for a few members, and now I want to have structures in place where it's a program that is running within the branch. Why am I talking about peer-to-peer programs? Because then it is each of us helping each for each other, each lawyer for each other. That way we will encourage each other to come out with our problems, and we will have lawyers then being able to articulate amongst each other. If there's a drug issue, there's an alcohol-related issue, then this will come out amongst peers. We'll be able to address these concerns within ourselves and come up with the solutions to these problems amongst ourselves. I still encourage all of you to kindly go to my manifesto. It is very comprehensive. Go and look at it, and I am the right person. I am fit for this job because I have formulated several strategic plans, including the Law Society Nairobi Branch Strategic Plan from the year 2017 to the year 2022. I helped formulate that strategic plan, and I'm the best person suited to steer that strategic plan forward. Now, a branch strategic plan basically lays out the mandate or the work for the branch in the next, until the year 2022. Now, having formulated it, I therefore see that I'm in a better position to steer it forward. I also want, in my parting shot, to say that at this moment, we're in a difficult time. We're in a difficult time because we have the COVID-19 disruptions. They have disrupted our processes at the Lands Office, at the Judiciary, and at the company's registry. You need somebody who will walk into the office and continue the progress that the branch has made. My competitor, Eric Theuri, has said, indeed, the branch has been vibrant. He said he wants to make it more vibrant, but he has admitted that the branch is vibrant and visible. Now, I am the best person, therefore, to continue with this vibrancy that we brought to the branch and visibility. I encourage members, therefore, I stand with you, I stand in solidarity with you. Please vote for me as chair, and you will not be disappointed. Let's vote Paula for progress, vote Paula to keep the progress going. On the issue why Eric is not best suited, is that Eric has still not...
In half a minute?
In half a minute. Eric is a non-lawyer as we speak. By a non-lawyer, I mean that he has not taken out his practicing certificate. So we cannot have a chair of leading lawyers being the one in charge of all Nairobi lawyers, and he himself is not an advocate. So that is the reason why I think Eric at this time is not fit for office. Let him first renew his practicing certificate, then he can try his chance for the chair in the next year, 2022.
Excellent, interesting perspective. Eric, before you deal with the question of your status, why do you think that you're best suited? Do you think Paula has any weaknesses despite the experience that she has put on the table? And what would your agenda going forward be?
Thank you so much, John. I will take the reason why I am the best candidate for this position, together with the question of what we'll be doing for in-house counsel. I'll try and sum that up together. The Nairobi branch has the legal awards ceremony where they award excellence. One of the things that I intend to continue doing is to take those awards to the next level. In celebrating excellence, in celebrating employers who are treating their employees right, we will be fostering a culture of fair employment practices, both in the law firms and in the state corporations. So to that extent, that should be able to mitigate some of the challenges that in-house counsel do face when it comes to remuneration. The other thing which I intend to do is to look at the NEMA decision where non-practice allowance is supposed to be paid out. I'm aware that that has been challenged, and the civil service, public service has been having a problem with payment of that non-practice allowance. I will pursue negotiations with the Public Service Commission, try and get them to appreciate that non-practicing allowance should be paid, and also try and look around the broader spectrum of in-house counsel and see where we can put our efforts together for purposes of addressing the issues of remuneration, and also now liaise with the national office, because this is a subject that is of cross-cutting nature, does not just affect advocates or in-house counsel in Nairobi, but to also liaise then with the national office and try and get that sorted out. So that then answers that question. Now, secondly, the Nairobi branch, the awards, the council of the Nairobi branch last year gave me an award as the most dedicated advocate of the branch. So they recognize the efforts that I have put in. And so the successes that have been attained by the Nairobi branch have not just been attained by the council, but have also been attained by those advocates who are supporting their activities, by those advocates who are engaging in their bar bench meetings, in their committee meetings. I sat I co-convened the Advocate Police Relationships Committee. I never missed a meeting. Paula was a member by virtue of our position of that committee, but she only attended one meeting. So that tells you that my commitment to matters, practice, and welfare has even been recognized by the Nairobi branch, and I have been given recognition. So with that recognition and having served in the LSK Council, I understand how the council operates, and I'm ready from day one to start steering the mandate of the Nairobi branch. And so any concerns about interferences from the national office in the mandate of the branch, those are ideally just fears. But the reality of it is that we'll be very steadfast in handling our mandate. But as I have said, my understanding and characterization of the decision is independence and interdependence. So we must work together on certain areas, and it may look like the national office is infringing on the mandate of the branch, but that is actually just an issue of consultation. But what will not happen is that we will not let the affairs or the mandate of the Nairobi branch be taken over by the national office when I'm chair of the LSK. Now, I think I may have to, of course, I have to respond to what Paula has said, and I find that very interesting because I have paid for my practicing certificate. I haven't even gone to the website to check whether it is indicating active or not active, but I have paid for it, and I have submitted my forms for the practicing certificate. Actually, I think, so to that extent, I'm fully qualified. So if there is any issue, then that is something that will be clarified as soon as I leave here and I find out what could have happened to the status if probably Paula has checked my status to confirm that.
So there's no impediment to your candidature?
There's none whatsoever. There's none.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess the only other issue which you asked me to comment on are Paula's weaknesses, which, to be quite honest, I relate with her very well. But I tend to think that she can come out as very abrasive. And when she comes out as an abrasive person, it becomes then very difficult to engage and build on consensus. At this particular time, there's so much stress, and you need to be a very calming presence. You need to be a calming presence at this particular time because you are dealing with people who are not, you're not just dealing with somebody's, the fact that somebody is unable to go to court, he is unable maybe to pay his rent, he is unable to sustain himself, his client is probably not able to pay him and he is having those kind of struggles. So you need a very calming person to be able to navigate during such difficult times.
Excellent. Well, I think it remains for me to thank both of you for the most cordial manner in which you have conducted this debate, for your incisive views, and for sharing your time with us. Ladies and gentlemen, learned friends, let me just remind you, voting opens on Wednesday the 13th, is that right?
Yes.
And close of business?
14th.
On the 14th. Yes. So there is ample time. The instructions have been sent out. This is all electronic, so by now you should be familiar with it. Please vote, and may the best candidate win. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.